welcome back. This is Chris, and today I'm going to share a classic Chinese dumpling, boiled dumpling, known as Jiaozi. So let's get started. So we're going to make the dough first because we want that to rest up a little bit and get nice and soft. It's a really easy dough, and there's only one little trick. So we'll put in about a cup of flour, and to that we'll add a little bit of salt just for flavor, like a quarter of a teaspoon. And what we're going to do, the trick is that we are going to use hot water as we mix this dough. And what that will do is that will make it almost instantly soft and stretchy. Got a little bit of water here. We'll just put a little bit of that in. So as in with all the doughs, what we're going to look for is we're going to look for a texture that's like couscous, or just small pellets. And if it forms a ball, it means I've put in too much water. But if it forms the pellets, we're in great shape. So it doesn't seem to be forming a ball, which is good. But let's take a look. And you can see there's the small pellets. Looks like couscous. So we'll pull that out. Now, depending on how hot the water was, you have to be careful. This could be a really hot dough. And it should be nice and soft, not really sticky. And we'll just knead that together. Oh, this is perfect. See, it's nice and soft, smooth, and it's not sticking to my hands at all. So that's great. So we'll just set this aside for a couple minutes to let that gluten continue to form. You could put it into a Ziploc bag, or you could just plop it into a covered bowl while we're making our filling. So I'm going to do another shortcut with the filling. The classic filling, is the Chinese flavor base of garlic, ginger, some protein. In this case, we're going to use pork, but you could use chicken or turkey or beef. And then we'll add some scallions. We'll save a little bit to plant for later. And some bok choy, which is Chinese cabbage. It's very leafy. It has this smooth, blanched stalk. It's a member of the mustard family. So if you kind of think about it, if you don't have bok choy, you can certainly use another type of cabbage. Or you could use kale, which would be good. So we'll just put that in there. I'm not going to use the leaves in this, but you could if you wanted to. And let's just, I'm going to pulse this just to kind of blend it together. this a little stir. There we go. So I want to get this so it's uniformly chopped together. Now we're going to add a little bit more flavoring here. We're going to add a little bit of soy sauce. A little bit of vinegar. I'm using balsamic here, but you could use a Chinese vinegar, which is a little darker, not quite as sweet. And this is optional. If you want to have a little warmth, a little heat, I'll add maybe 1/4 teaspoon of hot sesame oil. You can use regular sesame oil if you want. Just toasted sesame oil. Let's get this mixing in. So once that's mixed in, there. All right. So this is our filling. So let's take a look at our dough. I've got some water boiling here, and what I'm going to do, this is what we're going to boil the jiaozi in, and I'm going to put in about 1 tablespoon of oil, so heavily salted water for boiling the dumplings. And let's look at our dough. Nice and soft. Again, it's not sticky. And I'm going to break off about a golf ball size piece. And we'll put this right through our pasta roller. You can see it's really nice and soft. So let's cut a couple of these. I'm just using a biscuit cutter. And these are, I've rolled these out pretty thin, but you can kind of play around with how thin you like them. I like to make them thin because they cook faster if you do that. So filling them are pretty easy. The only thing you want to be careful of is not to overfill them, because if you do that, they won't stick together. So I'm going to put in about 1 teaspoon. Oh, that's a little more than 1 teaspoon. There we go. We'll go with 1 teaspoon for each one. There we go. And you can roll out probably, 5 or 6 of these at a time. Don't roll out, dozens of these and then try to do the assembly line trick, because when you roll out these wrappers, they start to dry out, and if they dry out, they'll get brittle, and you won't be able to fold them and you won't be able to seal them either. So you can see what I'm doing is I'm just folding them in half and just pressing just like that. And it's important that I didn't overfill these, because if there's filling that goes to the edge, the dumplings won't seal. So this one's just a little bit too full. That was the first one I did. So let me just take a little of that out. And then we'll fold that over. Just like that. And this looks like the last one I did. So the first and the last have too much. So we'll fold that over. And just go like that. So now our water is boiling, our salted water. And what we'll do is we will boil these for 2 or 3 minutes. You just drop them right in. And you really should only cook as many as you're going to eat. And what we can do is, if we made a lot of these, we would just put them onto a tray and put them in the freezer. And we would freeze them uncooked and just throw them into a Ziploc bag. And then sometime when we're hungry, we can just boil up some salted water and have ourselves some dumplings. While these are cooking, I'm going to show you, if you don't have a pasta roller, you can roll these out by hand. And the easiest way to do that is to take your dough and form a donut. Just like that. And expand that donut so that the donut has like maybe about a 1/2 inch of thickness. So you can see that I'm expanding the donut. And then what I'll do is I'll just cut that donut. I have a tube. I'll take that tube and I will cut it in half. I'll cut it in half again, and I'll cut it in half again. So now I have equal sized pieces. I'll just press that down. Then I'll take my rolling pin and just go right around. I can roll this out. The Chinese grandmothers and the Italian grandmothers know how to do this really quickly. So now just, there we go. So just move that around until you get a dumpling skin. That. And we'll just get some filling. Not too much. And then we'll just So I think it's been a couple minutes since I put in the other dumplings, but you can see that, I'll get that little one off there, so it looks pretty. All right, let's go back. So you can tell when the dumplings are cooked, when they get a little bit translucent, you can kind of see through it, and they kind of shrivel up around the filling. So let's drain these, take them out. throw in my other dumpling here and let that cook while I'm eating. So let's talk a little bit about the dipping sauce for these. We'll have a little soy sauce, a little hot sesame oil, and the vinegar. And we'll just put equal parts of the vinegar and the soy sauce together, and just a touch of the hot sesame oil. And again, if you don't want the hot sesame oil, you can use just regular roasted sesame oil. So I've got to grab some chopsticks here. There we go. And let's have a taste. Oh, I can tell these are going to be hot. All right. Just like dim sum in Chinatown. So that's it for now. And thanks for stopping by. And we'll see you next time.